Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? All good? Everybody is ready for tomorrow's exam? I heard some yeses there, so good thing. Um, okay, so today it is actually a very honorable opportunity for us because here with us we have Professor Aladin Behit. Prof. Aladin Behit is a professor in food science, yeah, Prof. Yeah, from the University of Otago, New Zealand. Yeah, so I'm actually very happy. Last week we have Prof. Gita Apana from Malaysia and now Professor Aladin Behit from New Zealand to give a direct guest lecture to be shared to you because this is an amazing opportunity to learn something outside our standard curriculum. Yeah, and I hope this can be a global exposure for you to know that science is very wide. Yeah, science is beyond what we learn nationally, but also there are things that are very interesting to learn from overseas. Yeah, so for today we will learn about edible insects. Yeah, maybe a bit, a bit things. Yeah, a bit small things to discuss. I remember. I think that you probably remember a few months ago, BGN, yeah, Badan Gizi Nasional, they come with a little bit of controversy because they want to put insects as a part of their free nutritious meal program. Have you remember that? Yeah. So back then it was a bit controversial because some people they agree that insects can be consumed as part of protein substitute, but then some others think that it is not nutritious enough or it is not appealing enough to be eaten. Yeah, but what is actually the nutrition perspective? Yeah, what is actually the food science perspective in having insects as part of our food consumption? Yeah, so in this particular lecture we will learn about that. We will learn from the expert. Yeah, and before Professor Ala will give his lecture, he is also very kind to us to he will share about several things about New Zealand, about the University of Otago, and maybe you will also know that if you want to study abroad in the future, yeah, University of Otago actually offer a lot of scholarship opportunities for international students. So please take notes, please listen to his lecture and his presentation carefully because this can be something that is not only beneficial for you knowledge-wise, but also maybe for future opportunities. You can also have insight in how studying in New Zealand will feel like. Yeah. Okay. So without further ado, to start this lecture, Prof. Ala, do you mind if we give the opportunity to Bu Asi first, our head of department, to give opening speech to officially open this event? Yeah. Please, Bu Asi.
Thank you, Dr. Fatima. Oke, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wah, sudah sarapan atau belum nih ya? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, good morning, everyone. Distinguished guest, Prof. Ala, also my colleague, Dr. Fatima and Kawin, and our student here. So which one from nutrition study program? Is there any from public health or environment health? Public health? No? Oh, ada. Sampai jam? Oh, okay. Okay, terima kasih. Yeah. Thank you. I think first of all, on behalf of Department of Public Health, Nutrition, Faculty of Public Health, Universitas Indonesia, it's my pleasure to welcome you, Prof, and also our student here. And we are delighted to host Professor Ala as a part of his visiting professorship program at our faculty. During this visit, he has engaged in series of activities it's a strengthening collaboration in education, research, and also academic development between our institution. The topic today's lecture I think is very interesting. Back on the menu, mapping the landscape of edible insect research in Australasia. So I think we also have a lot of insect here in Indonesia, and maybe in some part of Indonesia, we also heard that in maybe in Maluku or Papua, so they also have a specific insect that they can eat the insect. And I think, I don't know if you know what we call in Indonesia laron, yeah. Also, what else? Jangkrik, yeah, and also belalang, yeah. Yeah, it's a kind of insect. Yeah, as the world face growing challenges related to food security, environmental sustainability, and also population growth, edible insect have emerged as a promising alternative source of nutrition. And we know that, it's part of insect high of protein, yeah. I think we know that. And we know that this topic is particularly relevant to the student of nutrition and also public health and environmental health. Okay, and also I encourage our participants to take full advantage of this opportunity by actively engaging in discussion and also exploring how emerging food technology and sustainable nutrition solution can contribute to better public health and also nutrition. Again, thank you, Prof. Ala, for sharing your knowledge and your experience. We greatly appreciate your willingness to collaborate with our faculty and inspire our students. I think that's all. Again, thank you. Enjoy the lecture. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bu Asi, for the opening speech that officially opens this guest lecture today. And now, without further ado, I would like to invite Prof. Ala. So, Prof. Ala, we have plenty of time, Prof. We have time until 11:30, so please feel free to talk as long as possible, to share as many as possible, not only about the lecture, but also, the experience of studying in New Zealand to inspire our students to start thinking internationally. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Asif and Dr. Fatima, for the introduction. It's a great pleasure to be here. I hope we will be having a good session where we will have a bit of discussion. I'm very passionate about edible insect, although I don't eat edible insect, but I see there is great opportunity, and I will explain to you why. So today, before I start talking about my topic, I just want to introduce my university. So I came from the University of Otago, and Otago is known to be the place of many firsts, where we have, Otago is the first university in New Zealand. We have the first medical school, one of two, and we have long history. So it was established more than 150 years ago. So I have a small video clip. I hope it works, just to introduce my university and the beautiful town where I came from. It's called Dunedin. So thank you very much for watching that. As you can see, we have a beautiful green, clean country. Very, very similar to Indonesia here. Green color everywhere, and but we don't have as many islands as you have here. So you have 17,000 islands. We only have 3. So that's the only difference. So what I would like to talk today is basically introduce the topic of consumption of edible insects as part of our diet, and the scientific name for that is called entomology. So entomology is, we're going to explain what it means, why this is important currently, and then we will talk about the nutritional and digestibility of edible insects. We will talk about research opportunities, what we have done at Otago. We have been working on edible insects for more than 12 years. And then we talk about some conclusion that you can take home as a message. So entomology is basically the art of consuming insects as part of our daily routine to gain nutrient and energy sources. I always refer to it as a new old tradition, because prehistory, human used to consume insect as part of their daily food. So it's an old tradition, and it has been practiced at least by 2 billion people at the moment. People all over the world, they consume edible insects that are naturally available, and they are used to or accustomed to consuming this type of edible insect, which will vary where you are in the world, because ecosystem will dictate what type of insects can be flourishing and growing under certain environment. So there is more than 2,230 insects that are registered to be edible insects in the world now. The number is increasing every day. And I think one of the key messages that I can see online, Indonesia is one of these places where edible insect can be used in certain parts. Not mainstream, but there is definitely lots of video clips on YouTube and Facebook that show us lots of people actually consuming edible insect, and they devour it, they enjoy eating it. So edible insect is the art of consuming insects as part. This can be recreational, like something we do from time to time, or sometimes it can be part of regular meals. So when I go to Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, edible insects are available in local market, and people use it in creating delicious meals. So a little back of history. So Aristotle documented that cicadas and some other insects have been consumed by soldiers in the Roman Empire and in other places in Egypt. Also the Bible, whether the Old Bible or the New Bible, there is some mentioning of the consumption of locust and other insects. So this has been either indication for prohibition or permission, and it has been part of Judaism and Christianity. Grasshoppers and locust seems to be very common. So in Islam and Judaism, the locust is 100% allowable or permissible. Other insects are arguably can be discussed depending on the scholars. Also, Plinus is basically a philosopher and a general leader in the Roman Empire. He also documented the fact that edible insect was part of the food that consumer or soldier in the Roman Empire was actually consuming. And Li Shijin, this is a philosopher, a scientist, and historian. He's the one who wrote the pharmacopoeia for the Chinese traditional medicine. Again, he mentions that use of insects as part of drug formulation or medicinal formulation was very common, and there is lots of extremely expensive insects that can be found in a traditional Chinese medicine. So, among all of us here, I'm pretty sure you are on one of this spectrum. Either you are happy to consume and you are curious how it's gonna taste. Does it taste good? Does it crunchy? Is it really bad? So there is somewhere between very happy and completely offended. You will find yourself somewhere here. What actually can dictate our choice is that probably for many practicing Muslims and Jewish, is it permissible or not? Because this is the most important criteria. Can we religiously consume this food or not? So that is concept that I was trying to promote over the years. Spiritual quality. We hear about nutritional quality, eating quality, economical quality. We never heard about spiritual quality, but it's really the most important factor that decide whether we can eat something or not, if it's permissible or non-permissible. So permissibility is important. In Christianity, there is no limit, there is no capping on consumption of food. This is probably number one. Second is, are you familiar with it or not? If you came from society where eating locust is common, you have no problem. So in Saudi Arabia, especially in the north part of Saudi Arabia, people are very familiar eating locust. They call it actually shrimp of the sky. So it's very popular. We did some research with colleagues in King Saud University, where we looked at safety, toxicity, as well as some potential nutritional information. So, anybody have eaten edible insect before? No. Okay, so I tried locust because it's halal. So I tried that, but there's so many other insects that is available. We get it for research. I will explain to you why later on. But we as a scientist, all of us, we are curious. We are interested to know what this for, what is good in it, what is bad in it. And that is what makes us as scientists. So importance of why entomology is coming back. So as we said, history tells us that edible insect was consumed in different parts of the world while it disappeared. At some stage, when humans start to produce so much food and we have the ability to preserve large amount of food that used to be wasted because we didn't have any preservation technologies at the time. So at the start of the 18th century, the Industrial Revolution in UK enabled us to preserve food, to move food from one place to another. So we have maximum utilization. Still, lots of food wasted. So when our ability to preserve food become better, eating edible insect looked upon down. Like people start to discriminate, feel like this is for the poor, insects associated with diseases, this is not healthy, and eating insect as practice or norm become less and less desirable because we had the ability to produce more meat, all the milk we can convert it into delicious types of cheeses that can last for years. So eating edible insect was diminishing in Western societies. Some other societies in South America, in Africa, in Asia still have the practice. So it came back probably about 30 years ago when we started to look at future foods and how our need of good protein sources is going to be extremely high in the future. Scientists start to think edible insect is one of those options that can be helpful in the future. Why? Because our ability to produce sufficient amount of food is getting less and less. Look around you. Environmental change, lands that is used to be very productive start to become least productive. Our ability to maximize yield by using pesticides, fertilizers is at its max. And consumer nowadays, they don't like this artificial chemical input in our food production. So they start to become discriminating against it. So we have definitely some environmental issues that actually reducing our ability to produce enough food for all the population. So that's where alternative proteins is becoming really strong. So this is images from recent episodes. Weather extremes can be problematic because they will actually destroy effort of years of reclaiming land, improving the soil conditions, investing lots of money in technology to prepare soil, etc. And all this can go in overnight episodes. I think I have some pictures about what happened in New Zealand last year. So we had only one cyclone. I know that some places in Asia, you get cyclone like routinely. One cyclone in New Zealand, it cost us about near $2 billion of damage in one day. So all the kiwi fruit that was farms planted, it's all destroyed. We had orchard where have apples and other fruits in North Island completely destroyed. The cows that had milk, we couldn't milk them. So we had lots of damages just by one episode. And this is becoming very occurrent episode worldwide. Also, in our food production, there is environmental cost associated in terms of input, water, fertilizers, energy, and conversion ratio of feed to protein. So to have, for example, 1 kilogram of meat from a cow or beef, you probably need, I don't know, maybe 12 kilograms of grains to do the conversion. Chicken is much easier, but the best source for production of protein in terms of conversion ratio is edible insects. Edible insects can be the most efficient way. It has least requirement in terms of space and area for raising. It has the least amount of water requirement. Future wars is going to be about water, not about petrol, not about gas. It's going to be about water, because water is the source of life. And many countries don't have this source of life freely. Very few countries that have excess water. Insect sustainability in terms of land use, it can be much more efficient than anything that we have on the slide here. It has better conversion ratio and more sustainable credit compared with even chicken. Chicken is the best protein source. It has about 45 days of life cycle. For insects, it can be even less than that. Now, over the last 15 years or so, we have been hearing about global environmental changes that are taking place and how our footprints in terms of carbon dioxide production, production of fumes and harmful compound to the environment is becoming really limiting factor for sustainable food production. Future generation, especially in the West, they protest. Every 2-3 weeks you will find high school students in the street protesting environmental change, and they are requesting clean food production systems, sustainable systems. And as you can see, edible insects become much more efficient compared with any other protein sources. So in terms of edible insects, they are quite wide and far in between. So as I mentioned before, there is more than 2,200 different edible insects that are available. And what is considered to be normal and accessible depending on where you are in the world. So for example, I will share with you in New Zealand, we have one insect called hoo-hoo grub. This is very common, and that is really what people like. You go to Thailand, for example, you will find sago is very popular. I was told also in Indonesia, sago is quite common in Indonesia as well. So what is on offer will be different from one place to another depending on environment and availability. But definitely beetles are the most commonly consumed edible insects. I went to Bogor Botanic Garden, and they have a beautiful, beautiful museum, and I took some pictures, and lots of beetles are available in Indonesia. Some of them are humongous, very, very large. So I will not go into more details here, but the figure in front of us, the table in front of us, is just reflect what common insects available in different countries. And as I said before, the environmental conditions is going to dictate what is considered to be a normal insect. So we love insects and see a lot of potential because they can have massive advantage in terms of nutritional aspects, especially protein. Most of the food we consume in fresh form, meat, fish, any other protein sources, we consume them fresh. Insect, on the other hand, to keep it safe for a longer time, we have to dry them. And by drying, you're actually increasing the protein content artificially. And you will find things like house cricket, for example, it will be about 70% protein. This is amazing advantage. Why? Many of you will be working in nutrition field, and sometimes when you are required to provide protein to certain groups, for example, elderly, who don't have high appetite. So you need to use source that is high in protein, so you can use less amount. You can actually include it in different forms, and that will provide the sufficient amount of protein, daily intake requirement, and so on. So edible insect will vary in terms of their approximate analysis. Some of them are really, really high in fat. Some of them are extremely high in protein, but one thing for sure, they all great source of nutritional minerals. So we get lots of minerals in capsulated form or concentrated form from edible insects. So I'm interested in protein, and most of my research is focused on protein. Why? I see in the future we will have big problems in terms of protein accessibility, sufficient high quality protein sources. And edible insects is going to help us alleviate some of this pressure. Why? People, as they age, their need for high quality protein is much higher. Protein play very important role in feeding all biochemical pathways involved in energy production, in muscle remodeling, as well as improving our health and well-being. So this is extremely important, especially for certain age groups or at-risk age groups. Okay. So if you are interested to know more about the nutritional aspects, I have some publications that has been reported, and I have a good book on alternative proteins. That's where I share some of my thoughts on edible insects, but also I have a couple of chapters. One is dedicated to keratin. Anybody know what is keratin? Anybody know what is keratin? So keratin is protein that we get from hair, wool, And why I'm interested in keratin? Because wool, sheep wool, is 90% protein. If we thought cricket protein 70% is high, wool is 90%, and it's so cheap. 1 kilogram of wool is probably like $1 or less. So think about 900 grams of protein for about $1. Yeah. So I have been working on this for many years. So I discuss some of these ideas in book chapter. If you're interested, I can pass this to you. Okay. So you will find lots of details about detailed composition of the protein, what essential amino acid, one non-essential amino acid contains. You will find the protein quality scores. You will find the minerals, vitamins, fatty acid composition. All that will be in the book chapter. It's not the place to discuss everything here, but definitely if you need the information, get in touch. So let's look at edible insect in Australasia. So if we look at Australasia, it's basically New Zealand, Australia, and some Polynesian countries. They have lots of edible insects, but none is actually systematically has been examined or discussed. Most of the research that was done either in Australia or New Zealand. There's some information available about Papua edible insect classification, and very recently there is more interest coming from Indonesia, so I will share some of this information with you. So in terms of Australia, there is about 200,000 insect species that are available. Australia is massive. It's almost like a huge country with diverse environmental conditions. Some places will have snow, some places completely desert, some places more urbanized. So it's the diversity in terms of the ecosystem is so large, very, very similar to Indonesia. And they have huge number of insects. What we know is that they have about 62,000 of this species has been formally classified and identified, and about 60 species that are commonly documented to be edible, mostly by the native Aboriginal people. In New Zealand, we have about 20,000 insect species. Very, very small amount that has been formally classified and identified and named, about 5,000 of them, and very, very few edible insects. We only have the best documented one is a grub that is called hoo-hoo grub. Why hoo-hoo grub is important? Because the native people of New Zealand, the Maori people, they have traditionally hunted them and consumed them. So many of the tourists come to New Zealand, they just go to the forest and try to have the hoo-hoo grub challenge. You can eat hoo-hoo grub while it's alive. This is just basically, hoo-hoo grub is basically because it is association with the Maori people. And this is some of the species that are commonly used. In Australia, the witch tea grub, which is extremely long insect, it has been traditionally consumed by the Aboriginal, and there's massive effort now to make more product out of it, to make it unique to Australia, something that people go and visit Australia to try and collect. So PNG has a very rich ecological systems, and it is said that it is the most rich source of insect fauna. They estimate about 100,000 to 300,000 different types of insects available. Many of them are not well documented, but there's some indication that local tribes or native people, they consume insects, but there's not much scientific literature on that. I believe Indonesia is probably has more than PNG, especially after I visited the museum in Bogor 2 days ago. You have so massive number of edible insects. The classification seems to be, state of the art. Lots of these species has been documented and described. So I believe that you guys, you have much more, whether there's opportunity for you to start to investigate, see what our opportunity can be extracted from this species is yet to be confirmed. So I mentioned that in Indonesia there's been lots of current interest about edible insects. So I found this walang grong. Is it common meal here? No? No? So this scientist, he published this a few months ago, and he said that it's traditionally part of the some locality to be used, and he said that there is opportunity here. But what I found in the literature, lots of publication, recent one, 2026, 2025, they are describing insects in Indonesia. Unfortunately, the leading researcher in this edible insects are not from Indonesia. So probably the first author is from Indonesia, Yuka. Is that a common name here in Indonesia? No? So I'm pretty sure Artina is common name. Artina sounds like Indonesian name. But the whole lab is from Turkey. The whole lab is from Turkey. Also, there's another paper that has been published a few years back, and it's all by Czechoslovakian, so Czech public. So again, they are describing Indonesian insects. Also, there's a paper that came in publication last year by Saif. So he described also edible insect as a potential source of nutritional food for local societies. Okay, so there is some interest, but that is very good news, because we all, since there is some interest, it's a great place to be where you want to conduct research. You can start look at opportunities to increase our understanding of local species. Okay, so if we look at Australia and New Zealand, they are the one really has been very active in research, and most of the research that we have was really surrounding around the use of traditional knowledge and cultural aspects. So in New Zealand, Maori tribes and Huhu Grub has a very strong link. So we took it from cultural point of view, and that grow to more scientific avenues where I can show you some of the research that we generated. And most of the research, we wanted to look at commercial pathway for producing this important species. So we don't want to go and hunt them from the environment, because this might be damaging to the environment. It doesn't create business opportunities. It's something that you cannot have control over it. But what we wanted systems that can consistently produce consistent quality compositions that are required for business food systems. There's lots of interest also in regulatory and policy frameworks. We want to see what are the best practices to ensure the safety of this food before start to become sold commercially. This is very important from public health and it's a requirement if you are planning to introduce any food in the market or export it overseas. In New Zealand, we had similar approach. We wanted to understand the nutritional aspects, what is good, what is bad about potential edible insects that can be found in New Zealand or can be imported. So we get edible insects from Indonesia, from Thailand, from Philippines. We get this. They are extremely, extremely expensive. I will share some of the prices with you later on. But there is appetite. Young generation, they are so keen on trying something new, and they get excited to experiment something that is not been tried by their peers before. So again, we are interested in cultural aspects. We're interested in regulatory and food safety, as well as any opportunity for consumer acceptability. One of the things that we don't like about insect is their appearance. People sometimes can be have phobia, fear of insects. So part of the research activities that I do is to try to convert it into something has nothing to do with the insect shape. If you have edible insects that dried and you make it into flour, nobody can tell this was insect. And you can put it in muffin, in chocolate bars, you can put it in any way to improve the healthiness. In fact, in Europe, many of the snacks sold in Germany, they will contain certain amount of edible insects, especially cricket flour. So it's becoming very popular, especially in Europe. And I'm trying in New Zealand, I'm sitting on the Halal committee. We want to regulate these issues because for Muslims, maybe cricket is not permissible. And we would like to be able to tell the consumer this is permissible, this is not permissible, and we leave it to consumer to decide what they want to do with it, okay? So again, this is just the most important two edible insects in Australia and New Zealand. And we are interested in understanding their position as potential source of protein for our people. In Australia, there is regulation, and the health authority, they approved 3 different types of insects to be consumed for human consumption. So we have the mealworm and the super mealworm. They are very commonly and openly available in the market for consumers. I just bought 3 kilograms of each for one of my PhD students last week, and we are using them for experimental work. Her PhD is basically looking at peptides generated from this edible insect, as well as the cricket. So this 3 has been approved in New Zealand. We don't have formal approval, but we can import edible insects and sell it under the auspice of novel foods. So novel foods can be covering some of these edible insects. So in terms of pioneering the research in New Zealand, a good friend of mine, Maya Rocho, we are writing now a book together on edible insects. He started long time ago, 1975. I think much longer than any one of you. I think you're all probably 90s born. Yeah, so long time ago. He actually found that edible insects can be quite useful source of protein. It has been traditionally used. He visited Borneo, and he lived and worked in Borneo for a few years, and he came back to New Zealand advocating for using edible insects. Also, another colleague of mine, Patrick. So Patrick is passionate. He said that if insects eat our food, why we don't eat them? So it just bite back. So that is the strategy. So he said that edible insect can be a good source of nutrition if going to reduce the pressure of farming sheep. We all understand that farming sheep has environmental effect. Lots of emissions are produced by animal farming. So we try to reduce that by creating alternative food systems, and edible insect is one of those that are of interest. So in terms of my own research, we have been working on edible insects for about 12 years. So what we have done is basically we looked at all the literature that is available, and we tried to create a bibliometric design or review where we looked at different trends that are happening. So we covered up to 2021 at the time, and we tried to identify key research gaps that we can actually utilize in supporting our young researchers, master and PhD, to solve and contribute novel information. In doing so, we also guarantee the publishing of our work because it's new, it's not been reported before, so it does contribute to the knowledge body in the literature. So we came with 5 clusters, basically looking at the traditional knowledge of insect consumption, and we looked at systems that are currently used for production of insects. Massive interest in Europe about edible insect farming is happening, especially in the Netherlands, Germany, Denmark. They are really investing huge amount of infrastructure to create farming systems. So they get their insects from where? From Thailand, from Indonesia. So they are creating business opportunity for them. So our priority was really involved in try to identify and learn from indigenous traditional practices about entomology, how they use it, how they consume it, how they keep it. So this is part of documenting the knowledge. I think this is great opportunity here in Indonesia, knowing that there's certain groups, they are familiar with this type of local insects. They can actually help us to understand them more a little bit, try to figure out different ways of capturing, harvesting, processing, consumption, and so on. Also, we wanted to include edible insect as option of future foods. We understand perfectly edible insect is not for everyone. As Dr. Fatima said earlier, it's controversial. Some people will be happy to try it, some people are not. Some people are still trying to understand a little bit more about whether they are good or not. So we understand this for 100%, and we are offering edible insect as alternative protein source. And we try to create some sort of international standards. If we are going to share edible insect with the world through exports, through products, we need to have one standard system that can be applied for all the countries. So that one of our objective is just create international standards for entomology. And the last thing is basically to try to identify chemical composition, what type of proteins, is it good for health or bad of health? You need to understand that protein natural doesn't mean that it's safe. Sometimes there is allergenicity issues, sometimes there might be toxic effects, and we need to understand that as well as identify what is good inside the insect. So we started with our local hoo-hoo grub because it's very important for New Zealand, and we can convert it from wiggly worms into flour. And then we use this flour to make ice cream fortified with flour, so you increase the protein content in the ice cream, so you can take the guilt of eating ice cream. You can add it to muffins, to energy bars, to cookies. You can use it in bread. So once you convert it into flour, you have so many different ways of including it as part of diet. So we started by examining the nutritional aspects of the grub over its life cycle. So we started with small, medium, adult, and pupa. So through these different stages, the chemistry of the insect is going to be modified and different, and we try to understand where we can capture the most important aspect from nutritional point of view. So we looked at the lipids, and as you can see, we can see that the hoo-hoo grub is high in saturated fatty acid. Also, it has much higher content of monounsaturated fatty acid and very small amount of polyunsaturated fatty acid. The issue is that the the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 is a little bit high. Ideally, it should be less than 10, but in this case, it's much higher. We can see that some of the fatty acids that we identified in the lipid, it has some health promoting aspects in terms of erythrogenicity or thrombogenicity, so it can have some potential health benefit, but one of the key aspects is that the high saturated fatty acid might be a limiting factor for the use. We looked at the mineral composition, and we can see that Huhu grub is very rich in iron, copper, magnesium, zinc, all which are very important nutritional minerals or elements. It's very, very low in arsenic, vanadium, cadmium, and lead, which is very good news because that's normally lead, toxic metals that normally associated with the consumption of. Anybody know where cadmium, lead, arsenic can be found traditionally? In seafood. So when you have seafood, and especially in country like New Zealand, so New Zealand is basically like volcanic formed island. So underneath there is lots of these toxic minerals which will be translocate into seafood, and then if you consume seafood regularly, you have higher disposition and exposure to these heavy metals. We also looked at the transcriptomic insights. We dig deeper at molecular level to look at the protein synthesis and how this is differed across the life cycle of the Huhu grub. And we looked at different processing techniques to extract and obtain the lipid fractions. So we looked at the techno-functionality. We extracted the protein. If we are planning to use the protein as part of food formulations, we need to understand some aspects about it. We normally term it techno-functionality. Can the protein help in making foam? Can make emulsifier, emulsification process? What are the daily requirement for the protein in terms of protein quality and so on. So we did all this work looking at the large larvae and pupa, and we have also some information looking at the development and the expression of protein during the life cycle of the insect as well. We went a little bit far where we started to hydrolyze the protein and look at biofunctionality. So we all know that protein, once it's digested, it's going to be converted into peptides that vary in size. This peptide has massive number of biological functionality. It can help in regulating blood pressure. It can act as antioxidant. It can act as anti-cancer. And some of these aspects we can test for and investigate either in silico using softwares, or we can do in vivo or in vitro trials if we have to. So we subjected the protein to digestion and start to do bioinformatic analysis for various peptides generated from the digestion. So we've been really trying to attract the public to consider edible insects. So we went on TV for several occasions. We had radio communications and articles where we can demonstrate the desirability or acceptability of food products that are fortified with Huhu grub, and look at the feedback we get from consumer. Normally we are targeting different age groups, but we understand that the targeted group mostly going to be students or young adults, where we can actually see them as future customers for this type of products. we looked at different technologies to enhance the extraction and look at the effect of this technology on protein folding and digestibility. So we have technology called pulse electric field. Anybody heard about pulse electric field before? So pulse electric field, this is new technology where we apply high voltage to the food with the aim of improving nutritional safety and eating quality. For example, we look around us, all the instruments that we are using, they use about 220 volts. The machine we are using, it uses 25,000 volts. So that will cause phenomena known as electroporation. It makes the cells open up and have holes, pores. And that will make the food either more stable, more delicious, softer, it's safer, it will kill the bacteria, make it safer, and so on. So we have different uses for this technology. So we used it to look at the antioxidant activity of the proteins that have been generated from pulse electric field and ultrasonic, as well as we looked at a chemical compound called chitin. Anybody familiar with chitin? Have you heard about chitosan? So chitin, this is anybody familiar with shrimp and crab? So the hard shell around the crab and around the shrimp, this is made of chitin. And it's very common in insects. So that is like a protection layer that makes the outer shell layer strength. So we can extract compound polysaccharides called chitin, and we can use it to make chitosan. Chitosan is wonderful chemical compound that we use in pharmaceutical and food packaging, as well as several food applications. It can has very, very high antimicrobial activity, and it can be very useful for certain food formulations. So we looked at this using pulse electric field and ultrasound as adding value. So sometimes if the chitin is available, we can actually use it for various health applications. So we tried to optimize the processing conditions to target the chitin fraction and look at the chemical composition and the structural modifications that are exerted by pulse electric field or ultrasound. And this modification can be very useful for us to either eliminate risk or decide functionality for the chitins that we obtain. So that is manipulation of the structure using different processing techniques. Also, we looked at secondary metabolites, something like polyphenols, phytosterols, and these are natural bioactive compounds that can be obtained from plant material, and sometimes insect eating plant materials, they can end up being deposited in their structure. So through our work, we try to communicate most of our work. So we have about 25 papers on edible insects. Many of these are just reporting. So we try to enthuse our students to take ownership of their data and information. So as soon as the work is completed, we repeat the work to make sure that the science is bulletproof, as they said, and we publish it and communicate it with the community straight away. So this is my colleague and a former PhD candidate. She's now a lecturer at Lincoln University, and my colleague is now in Australia. So we still collaborate on edible insects. So if you are interested or keen to know a little bit more about edible insects, get in touch and I will share some information with you. So edible insects in New Zealand are extremely, extremely expensive. In Vietnam and in Thailand, it's so cheap. So for example, 10 grams, 10 grams of black ants is about $11. That means 1 kilogram of black ants is about $1,100. How many rupiah? Millions. That is 1 kilogram of black ants. So as you can see, for Western countries who cannot have the ability to produce edible insect cheaply, that is going to be very expensive. For example, also locust or crickets, you can see 20 grams or 15 grams, about $11. So that is unreasonable price. We have cricket flour, so I can go to the supermarket and buy cricket flour. People who are health conscious, they want to make smoothie in the morning or high protein beverage in the morning, they can add cricket flour into the smoothie before workout. And 100 grams of cricket flour is 35 New Zealand dollars, 100 grams. So for me, if I go to the supermarket, I can buy 100 grams of edible insect for $35, or I can buy 2 kilograms of good quality meat for the same price. Which one I will go for? So that is the issue with the West, but you have the opportunity. If the West cannot actually produce this type of product cheaply, and there is opportunity, economical opportunity for us here to produce and export, why not? And actually this will give you ownership of your own resources, rather than someone in the Netherlands come and take your own species, farm them and make business out of it on their own. Okay? So in conclusion, I'm just trying to be wary of the time, so I will conclude that insects are rich source of important nutrients depending on what species. They are here to stay, so there is strong interest in edible insects throughout the world, especially in Europe, and they are really motivated in keeping the momentum of considering edible insect as a good source of nutrient. The last thing is basically having native species being farmed, like in New Zealand, having huhu. It's really very difficult because sometimes it takes years in nature and we cannot replicate that in the lab. But here you have some insects that have a life cycle of 3 weeks, and that will be very important. Again, you have the advantage of having warm weather. So if I want to farm, I have projects at my university for black soldier fly, for example. I need to keep the room 32 degrees all the time. Energy in New Zealand is very, very expensive. So you have the advantage of having the appropriate climate for farming. Okay, so now I want to take a few minutes to talk about opportunities. If you are interested to go to New Zealand, this is not only Otago, but many of our universities there, they will have scholarships. So we have wide range of scholarships that can suit undergraduate level, master level, or PhD level. So many of those are quite competitive. If you have really good grades and you can speak and write and read in English properly, just go for it. It's a great opportunity for you to develop self-development or personal development. So we have the global scholarships. Indonesia is among the countries that are eligible for that. So please go for it. This is going to cover bachelor degree as well as some master degrees. So it can have a really substantial financial support. Also, we have international academic excellence. This is all based on academic quality. The one before, you don't have to be superb in terms of academic background. You might be very good in surface, community surface, your personal development, your unique characteristic as a person. Sometimes your academic score for the one before is not highly important, but for the academic excellence, the academic credit and output is going to be very important. We have also undergraduate entrance scholarships. So this is can be for over 3 years, and as you can see, this is can be massive, anything between 10,000 up to 45,000 for the 3 years. So in New Zealand, to do a bachelor degree, most of the time it's 3 years. Most of the time 3 years, unless you are doing something, a special degree like dentistry or surgery or medicine, something like that, it's gonna be longer. We have the Vice Chancellor. He has the ability to give some scholarships up to $10,000, and this is quite common. If you apply for a master, you can apply for this and you get the 10,000 as part of your fees. We have also international partnership scholarships, which is agreement between Otago University and other external organization where we have partnerships, and it can be funded by both universities as well as the individual who is applying as well. So the new intake for 2027 is already out. So there was an announcement a few days back. So check our university website, see if you are eligible or you are interested to pursue some of these opportunities. I do encourage you because it's going to give you a wide perspective of life. So people who study in different places, they normally have better views. So I did my bachelor degree in Egypt. I did my master's in UK. I did my PhD in New Zealand. So I can get exposure to different way of thinking, different way of teaching and learning. So it will widen your perspective. All right, so with that, I would like to thank you all for your interest and time, and I welcome any questions you might have.
So much, and thank you so much, Bu Asif, for joining us. Thank you so much, Prof. Ala. That was such an insightful and eye-opening lecture. Yeah. Now we will have a question and answer session. But before that, maybe I also want to repeat some of the key messages that Prof. Ala has shared with us. Yes, I do also take notes, students. Yeah. So Prof. Ala remind us that edible insects can actually act as alternative sources of protein. Yeah, especially in this era where maybe economic wise, yeah, Indonesia still have some challenges, yeah, and food security is always an issue. And looking at, we do have some species of edible insects that can be further explored. This actually offer us some potential benefit in the future, yeah. And also, Prof. Ala mentioned that actually edible insect is a source of diet that is environmentally safe, yeah. So we know from Prof. Ala's slide that carbon emission from poultry and meat production is much more than if we process edible insects. Yeah, and that can also be an answer, especially for climate change problem, environmental problem that we also face in Indonesia. The protein content itself that the edible insect has is very massive. In fact, in some of the species, they can consist of 70% protein, yeah. And then last but not least, this is probably also a good thing to know that Australasia, yeah, the region we are in, yeah, so New Zealand, Australia, Polynesia, and also us in Indonesia, we do have rich biodiversity, yeah. Even Prof. Ala shared with us, scientific papers that is published by international researchers exploring how our insects actually can be beneficial. Yeah. So it is actually. I hope that can stimulate you to further also do research on this topic because, well, if international researchers is doing things, investigating things that we actually have, then maybe it is also our call to start learning about it ourselves. Yeah. Okay, but before I give the opportunity for questions, I just want to show you something. Prof. Allah, I hope you don't mind. So Prof. Allah have brought us his gift from New Zealand, yeah. So maybe Prof. Allah, you want to mention, you mentioned to me previously that there are three things, yeah, Prof. Allah, that is very unique to New Zealand, yeah. And
Yes.
what are those?
Yeah, so in New Zealand, we have three products that we are so proud of and unique to New Zealand. One is Manuka honey. And Manuka honey can be extremely, extremely expensive, especially if it has what you call unique Manuka factor, which is factors that you use about how healthy the honey is. So some small honeys, like, if you have, impact factor 20, it can be, few hundred dollars a kilogram, like 900, 700 or more. In fact, nobody actually sells this type of product in kilograms, just 250 gram or 500 gram. The other thing is this chocolate. So we have this company, Whitaker's. They have this product only in New Zealand. It's considered to be one of the best chocolates in the world, really. Better than Cadbury. And the third is sheep. So we have lots of sheep, we produce lots of lamb, and we export to the worldwide. So New Zealand used to be number one world exporter of halal lamb until 2018, where Australia started to become number one. So this is the three things. So I have 4 chocolates, and
Yeah. So maybe let's give the opportunity for our students to ask questions, and we will choose for most interesting questions. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the best questions. There is actually no stupid questions. All questions are good, but the most interesting ones, yeah, we will choose, and we will give each of you one of the chocolate. Yeah. So I've tried these chocolates before, and it's really good. So do your best, ask as many questions as possible to increase your chance in getting the chocolate. Yeah, originally from New Zealand. Okay, students. So do we have questions? Okay, one, two. Okay, good. Shall we start from this side? Yeah. You can mention your name, yeah, and your questions. And also, I want to motivate students. Don't worry about your English. Yeah, I even still have Japanese English with me. So if you have problem in translating your questions, just do it as much as possible. Yeah, and you can also use Indonesian, and I will try to translate it for you. Yeah, as long as you motivate yourself to ask question. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Hello, sir. My name is Shayla from the Department of Nutrition. My question would be, what like insect is like the best to consume, and how do you know it is like good enough or clean enough to consume? Because maybe that's like one of the factors that I'm most scared about, whether it's clean or not, and whether I can eat it like on a regular basis. Thank you.
thank you very much, Sheila. That's a good question.
Do you want to answer that, or do we want to collect as many questions?
I answered that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is the best insect to consume? This is personal preference, and it's depending on how familiar the people with the insect. So, there is no golden rule or certain insect that can be generalized as the best one. They all vary in their composition. Some of the crickets, for example, which has been investigated heavily, cricket will have more amount of iron than meat, red meat. So we are excited about red meat. It's a great source of heme iron. It's a great for health and oxygen performance and sports. Cricket has higher amount of iron that is bioavailable. If you look at locust has more calcium than milk. So if you, so each insect has its own potential benefit. In terms of acceptability, this will be a personal and dictated by cultural aspects, environment, familiarity, and so on. So your second question is related to the cleanness. So that's why we try to create an industry. Under industrial condition, you have regulation, you have system to follow, you have control over the hygiene, the safety. So we want to convert edible insect from activity, someone go to the forest and collect insect, into a business that can be consistently generating consistent quality that are ensured safety and so on. And that's basically what is happening in Europe. They are converting the material into additive product, ingredient, rather than insect, and everything is done under hygienic industrial conditions. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Ala, and thank you so much, Sheila, for your questions. And next we have, you. Please also mention your names, yeah?
Okay, so my name is Mori. So earlier you was mentioned that insect farming has a lower environmental cost, requires less land, and produce fewer emission compared to cattle farming. However, how can we ensure that insects contain consistent nutritional level given their small size? In other words, how do we make sure that nutritional content is sufficient and standardized across insects? Maybe that was my question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Interesting
much.
question.
Yeah.
So again, so if we rely on wild insect harvesting, this can be extremely variable. We have no control over what the insect will be consuming, what will be browsing. We have no idea and control about what type of environmental risk. You do understand that the environment will have contaminant in the form of heavy metals or biological compounds that can be toxic to human, not toxic to the insect. So wild, it's risky. That's why we want to go industrial, consistent production systems that can ensure consistent quality. Because one of the things that we like in food industry, consistency. If you want to go and buy, let's say, beef steak, if you go one time and you buy a steak and you go home and you try to cook it and it's very chewy, very unlikely you will go and buy steak again because your experience is not very good. But if you eat the steak and it has guaranteed tenderness, it has good flavor, and if the company guarantees that for you, you will be going and buying with some sort of peace. You are guaranteed you will get a product that is good. So that's basically what we are trying to achieve. Generating is industrial scale that ensure safety and consistent composition and quality. We know that insect composition can change with diet. So sometimes if we feed them, let's say fish that waste, and fish waste will contain high amount of polyunsaturated fatty acid that can be transferred into the insect. So using the appropriate diet for the insect, we can manipulate the composition of the insect and we generate consistent quality.
Okay, thanks, Prof. Ala. Yes, it reminds us that research in this topic should also be accompanied with relevant food industry to support this process, yeah. Okay, I think we still have one question from this side. I saw one person raised their hands previously. No? Or shall we move to this side because we have, okay.
Okay, thank you, Prophet. Thank you. My name is Ahnaf, and I want to ask some question. We know that this kind of insect diet is a new thing in Indonesia. Maybe I want to ask, what is the best start to promote this to people in general? Because so many people really don't like insects. Even they have some sentiment that people who eat insects are people like in undeveloped economical or social, yeah, like something like that. So how can we promote this to in general, like so we, so we can see the insects diet. It's as same as like a meat diet for people in general, maybe for like the kids and for many people in general. I think that's my question.
Thank you very much. So the question is how we can actually start including edible insect as part of our diet, how we can promote it. So as we mentioned before, it's not something for everyone, but there is opportunity where we can use it effectively. Think about a child who are not interested in eating meat or any source of high quality protein, fish for example. And they like to eat snacks. So we have the opportunity to have something like cricket flour with 70% protein. You can use 10%, you add it to the crackers, snacks, and that will be helping to alleviate the deficiency in protein. Elderly, for example, old people, when they are too old, they don't like to eat too much and they have no appetite. You can actually formulate product that contain digested proteins from insect or any other sources that can complement what they require in terms of nutritional amino acid, essential amino acid, etc. So I'm not saying everybody should be eating insects, but it's option. Definitely it can help in situation where deficiency and likelihood of diet impact on population can be very high. So it's one option. We are not trying to replace, but we know that some people will enjoy eating it as is. We see lots, as I said, there is 2 billion people use edible insect as is. In the West, maybe we have negative perception, and this was taught in the old days. We see, poor people will eat edible insect. Edible insect is not clean, or insect in general not clean, and it's dangerous to eat. All that was taught when we started to have this massive food production system in place in 1900s and before that. We learned that we can unlearn it by education. So we can start to tell the public and educate them. Locust more calcium than milk. Cricket has more iron that is bioavailable more than red meat. So if there is need for intervention to help and support someone recovering from illness, or is someone need to be, improving health aspect in nutrition, sports nutrition, we can actually use our own understanding of what is good about edible insect protein composition, bioavailability, digestibility, and incorporate that in recovery plan or in nutritional plan. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Prof. I hope that answers your questions. Yeah, enough. Yeah. Okay. Do we have more questions from slide? Yeah, Chiquita. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Prof. Ala. Thank you so much for your insightful presentation. It's such an honor to have you here. My name is Chiquita, and actually, this is some like a curious questions. It's about the future applications of the insect-based products. So my question is, what insect-based products shows the greatest commercial potential in New Zealand, as we know that New Zealand has been selling insect-based products such as the chocolate bars or like the cricket flowers and etc. So I just want to know what could be the most popular insect-based product in New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you. So in New Zealand, we have the whole insect, dried, salted, covered by chocolate. All that is available. Very expensive. I don't buy it. I just buy it for consumer, or when we have school visits, we buy, and the students are crazy about eating it as is. They don't really worry much about the shape or the color, as if it's acceptable, like it has a bit of nuttiness or acceptability, they will consume it. So this is the current. What we are actually trying to achieve as a scientist, I'm a proteins chemist, so I understand proteins. I try to utilize proteins as tools to recover from diseases or improve my immune system, or use it instead of using synthetic antimicrobial agent. I can actually generate this type of natural product from proteins. And my interest is to explore this area. What is the different types of proteins? You need to understand, we understand the biochemistry of proteins from milk, from meat, from egg, from pulses and legumes, because we've been consuming and studying them for hundreds of years. We have nothing about edible insect, very, very little. So this is a new opportunity for us to dig deeper, try to understand the potential a little bit more, and I do believe that derivative and byproduct made from edible insect might be more important than edible insect itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. I think we have more questions still, yeah? Michelle or Shirley? Yeah, the two of you can ask questions. The three of you can also, Grace, if you want to ask question, then go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Ala. My name is Cheryl Vanka Evandria. You can call me Cheryl. I'm the first student here. And actually, thank you for your full explanation too. And I noticed that this material is very fascinating and nutritional side. But however, we know that most of people is scared about the appearance of the insects. But you've mentioned about the developing about the snacks or food we can put in our chocolates, but how do these products like chocolates or fortified products is alter the nutritional value of the insects, or is there some mechanism that maintains their nutritional value? Furthermore, you previously mentioned about the post-alloteric methods. Does these methods also play a role in preserving these nutritions during incorporations? That's
Thank
all
you
for
very
me.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we definitely, when we start fortifying food product, we will get different composition. And that is the whole purpose of fortification. So if you have noodles. So if you have noodles and you change 10-15% of the flour with edible insect flour, you can actually change the mineral composition, you can change the essential and non-essential amino acid ratios, you can improve the protein content overall, you can change the fatty acid profile. So by incorporation we are causing an effect, and that's what we would like to achieve. How much effect, how it's going to impact the consumer, you as a nutritionist, you should be able to evaluate that. So this is opportunity, great opportunity actually to start look at this manipulation of the food processing conditions, how this is going to be translated into health effect in consumers. In terms of using pulse electric field and these technologies, we are trying to manipulate the structure of the protein. So if you have the protein, three-dimensional, the tertiary structure is a very compact protein. If you loosen that by using some of this technology, pulse electric field, ultrasound, high pressure, you open up the protein. Once you open up the protein, you change the functionality, the ability to bind to moisture, to bind to lipids, to be digested by enzymes in our bodies. All this is going to be different. So you can have opportunity where you improve the digestibility, the quality of the protein scores, and this type of aspects. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity, and also thank you for your wonderful presentation, Professor. It was such an interesting topic to discuss about, and I also got some valuable insights about the future of the food. But my question will be more about the cultural aspect, because you mentioned earlier that historically many societies have practiced entomophagy. Yet in many parts of the world, insect consumption is still associated with disgust. Why do you think insect consumption became normalized in some cultures but stigmatized in others? And also, based on your research, do you think cultural barriers are actually more difficult to overcome than technological or nutritional challenges? Thank you so much.
That's a very, very good question. Well done. So that's a great question. I do understand the it's not a cup for everyone. Like you guys here like coffee, and coffee can be made into 100 different types of product, and everyone has affinity or likening to certain type of product. It's exactly the same with edible insects. Once we start have the ability to formulate product into acceptable and desirable product that fits the community, that is a win. So in New Zealand, for example, people like to enjoy snacks. So if we have extruded product and we include edible insect in this type of snacks, that is win. Excuse me. Also, sorry, excuse me. Thank you very much. So it's just designing the right product for the right customer is always the goal. And in any society, you will find the yes and nay, like no, and in betweener. So we are trying to accommodate the yes and the maybe one, because that's where the opportunity lie. People who are 100% against edible insect, no matter what you. I had some experiment where I fed people product contain edible insects without knowing, without declaring it. And they like the product and they are happy. Oh, that is very nice, and the flavor is balanced and everything. And when you tell them that actually contained edible insect, they either say, oh, no, I didn't expect that reaction, or, oh, that's terrible. They change their mind. So it's just their psyche and beliefs they have sometimes dictate what is acceptable, what is not. Cultural barrier is definitely there, but the surprise is that the new generations, we have school visits, 12 years, 16 years old, and they are so excited about just go and nibble. Sometimes we have insects, the hoo grub. We say explicitly, please don't eat, please don't touch, because this is still alive and from the wild. And you will find some students just, want to go and grab and eat alive. It doesn't matter what is around it. It's just, it's just sometimes people will be happy. So it's all related to the personal beliefs. So as I said, education is a key in terms of overcoming some of these barriers. I think most of the people, if they see some benefit of consuming edible insects, they will go for it. As I always say, people will always, they will eat anything, as long as they don't have a choice or they have to. For example, I teach my student, if I'm in the middle of the desert and there is only pork, I don't eat pork. It's not halal, so I don't eat. But to save my life, I'm permitted to eat the pork. Do I really going to enjoy it? No, but just to save my life. So people who take medicines that doesn't taste nice, they test it because they believe that it's good for them. It's gonna help them with recovery. Or if there's no other choice, if I'm in Indonesia and there's only one type of food and I have no other options, so that is going to be, So what the message I'm trying to convey is that people will always have the ability to eat something that is not acceptable if they believe strong enough in a good use of it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for your amazing presentation back then. Prof. My name is Michelle. I'm also a first-year nutrition science student in Universitas Indonesia, and I would love to ask, we've seen a lot of promising opportunities in edible insect product development from nutrition to sustainability, but from your perspective, what are the biggest challenges holding back the insect-based food product industry from actually breaking into the mainstream market, whether that's technical, regulatory, or technology, or maybe the challenges? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in Europe, there is big industries that has been forming over the last 5-10 years where edible insect the foundation, like farms, because in Europe it's much more regulation required. Here, if you have an insect escaping from here to the environment, it's not a problem because it is environment. But in New Zealand or Germany, if insect escape, that is going to be ecological disaster. We don't really know. It might survive, it might not. So there is always high cost in terms of getting regulation and approval. And once this is in place, production is going to be exponentially increasing. So I read some statistics about the edible insect industry in Europe. A few years back, it was about $30-40 million. Now we are talking about billions. So it's just increasing substantially. As I said, approval from authorities like health authorities, food safety authorities in Europe, in Australia, in Singapore, all that is breaking some of this barrier in terms of regulation. In terms of cost of production, as I said, you have a beautiful environment and you don't have to worry about heating or energy, which is advantage here compared with you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof. Do you still want to take more questions?
If there is any question, I'm happy to answer.
Okay. Do we still have more questions?
There's one
Yeah.
here.
Okay. From that side.
Good morning, Prof. Ala, and thank you for the opportunity to ask. It was such an honor to be attending your lecture. My name is Davina, and I want to ask that after attending your lecture, we know the benefit of consuming these insects. But as a future nutritionist, hopefully, are there any side effects that I have to know before giving it to my future patients that maybe I didn't know until now?
That's a great question. Thank you.
Thank
very
you,
much,
Prof.
Safia. So, as in life, everything I teach my students, there's nothing 100% good and there's nothing 100% bad. We as human, as well as anything in life, it's vary between these two sides. So one of the things related to you as a nutritionist, for 50 years in food science and in nutrition, we used to think dietary fiber are bad for health. It's useless stuff. So up to maybe 10 years ago, dietary fiber was something that is annoying in the food. We want to get rid of it. But now we understand dietary fibers is one of the most important health ingredients that works in synergy with our microbiomes, gut microbiomes, making us healthy. It's very important. 30-50 years ago, we used to think polyphenols, tannins, polyphenols are nuisance, anti-nutrient. But now polyphenols are the most important source of antioxidant in our diet. They are the one responsible for anti-inflammatory effects. They are the ones that helping, improving our oxidative stress in our bodies. They are amazing. So our thinking is changing. Now back to your question as a nutritionist. So nothing 100% good, nothing 100% bad. And that's where scientists like us, this is our job, our role, to understand what is good and what is bad, or what is good under what condition and what bad under what condition. For example, if you have something like protein, protein is good for health, but if you over process it, cause oxidation and cause formation of Maillard reaction. Some are good, some are toxic. So it's all depending on how you deal with the material and what the conditions that make it really good nutrition or actually potential carcinogenic. Yeah. So it's all about our understanding of the conditions. Definitely relying on environmental wild harvesting of insect is not good because there is no guarantee. You cannot test each insect how much contaminant, environmental contaminant exists, what is the risk associated with each one. So that's why I believe that moving toward industrial process is more likely to produce a healthier, guaranteed product rather than relying on the environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insightful answers, Professor Ala. Okay, I want to give one last opportunity. Do you still have one burning questions from that side? People from that side, do you have questions? Ini mahasiswa Prof Dewi ya? Oh ya udah, oke. People from these two sides, do you still have questions, burning questions? If not, then it is our time, Prof, to choose 4 best questions. Well, not the best, but maybe most interesting ones, yeah, Prof. Yeah. So we have 8 people,
Okay.
8 students actually. Do you
Easy.
know? Do you know which one?
No,
We have
not easy.
Sheila.
So, they all are great questions. I would like the 8 people ask question here, 2 by 2, and they play scissor rock.
Okay.
So
Okay.
That is the first way.
Okay, so because all questions are good, yeah, Prof. So Sheila, Morisela, Ahnaf, Cikita, Sherily, Grace, Michelle, and Davina, can you all come forward? And shall we do rock, paper, scissors to decide which 4 of you getting the chocolates? Come on. Okay. I even won one for myself because that's really good. Okay, so 8 of you come. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so how do we do this, Prof? Shall we do? Okay, so each of you do rock, paper, scissors, yeah? Okay. Davina and Cikita, do you want to go first? Rock, paper, scissors? Hompimpa? Sweet ya? Sweet. Yeah, sweet ya. Oh, so we actually have a traditional way, Prof, to do this. We can do hompimpa, so 8 of them can do in one round. Tapi gimana nih maksudnya nih? Maksudnya yang sedikit keluar gitu ya? Apa gimana sih? Kan soalnya seimbang. Jadi oh, yang sedikit keluar gitu ya? Yang sedikit keluar. Ya udah, yang sedikit keluar. Gimana sih? Yeah, so the last 4 standing will get the chocolate ya. Yang sedikit keluar, oke. Okay. Ada sweet aja. Sweet. Not yet, Prof. Oh, oke. Okay, thank you so much. Please give a round of applause. Okay, so in the end, everybody get half ya. Okay, don't forget to share with your partner. Okay, now before we close this session, shall we do a photo with the whole class, Prof? Ya, okay. So before we close, semuanya boleh maju ke depan nggak? Kita foto kayak kemarin yang sama Prof Gita itu ya. Everybody come forward. Everybody come forward, please. We will take a group photo with Prof Ala. Okay. So, Prof Ala, maybe you can sit in the middle with me. Ya, oh dari sana, bukan kayak kemana aja. Oh gitu ya. Di sini aja. Di sini malam-malam. Ya, oke, Prof Ala, maybe in the middle. Terus adik-adik kayak kemarin ya. Jadi ada yang duduk di bawah, ada yang duduk di sini, ada yang duduk di belakang. Yuk. Kalau nggak cukup di bawah, di belakang, maybe we should sit here, Prof. Ya. Win, boleh di itu ya Win ya, Winfried. Ya. So everybody smile, everybody smile. Win, ayo ikut Win. Thank you so much. Thank you so much everyone, and thank you so much Prof. Ala.
And all the best for tomorrow's exam. Good luck.
Thank you so much Prof. Terima kasih banyak ya adik-adik ya sudah hadir. Sukses buat ujiannya besok ya. Oke.